Hello, Shadow Era community. Welcome to State of the Era, a podcast presented by the A1 Alliance. We're bringing you a top-notch discussion every couple weeks about all things Shadow Era. You're hearing the sweet, sexy voice of NinjaDucky, and I've got a great group of players with me here today. People you should recognize from the forums. We've got Otto7.
Hello, I'm here.
We've got iClipse.
Hello, what's up?
And GreatOldOne.
Hey guys.
So, just so everyone gets a chance to know who we are and what we're all about, I'd just like to go through and have everybody introduce themselves a little bit more. How long have you been playing Shadow Era? What was your favorite deck of all time, and where are you from? Let's start with GreatOldOne.
Well, I've been playing Shadow Era for, I'm not sure, I think like November or December. I think December last year. And I'm from Israel, which is, I think most people are from Europe. I mean, in this conversation, right? Except NinjaDucky.
I'm
what else? There was another question.
Your favorite deck?
Oh, my favorite deck. I don't have one, so. I'm not
Goo doesn't play favorites.
No, I play whichever deck is the strongest.
I can respect that. iClipse, what about you?
Hi, I'm iClipse. I'm from Belgium, so I'm from Europe, like most of the people. I've been playing this game from, I think it was February, but I joined the forums only at the end of March. And my favorite deck of all time was my Gwen. It was in version of 1.27, and it was still a deck with the passive ability of Gwen. I really liked it. The only thing missing was item destruction, but yeah, I really miss that old ability. So yeah, that was me in short.
I remember that deck. If you could have destroyed Snow Sapphire, that deck would have been the strongest deck in Shadow Era at the time.
Yeah, I think so. It was the only real weakness. The only losses were versus Snow Sapphire.
Otto.
So, I'm Otto. I'm from Hellas, or Greece, or whatever people can call it. And I play Shadow Era for about a year, and joining the forum since then. And my favorite deck of all times was the Zaladar Megaras, or at least a version of mine, which I played for about 3 months only, nothing else. It's a very big time. Back on 126, I think.
Yeah, I played against the deck once. Tough deck.
It's a very strong deck.
I think I was using a Jericho, and it wasn't really the best matchup for Jericho.
Yes, I can
It was really
that.
painful, actually.
That's one way of putting it. Not the best match.
Yeah, it was pretty awful, actually. Well, in 1.26, Jericho is actually a very good hero.
Yes, and in 1.27, I think too. He before they changed him to require 4 Shadow Energy, I think he was a little bit too strong. In fact, kind of held Warriors back by a lot.
Yeah, but Warriors were really the strongest right then. The only thing that really could beat Warriors consistently were sometimes mages if they had some luck, and Jericho. That was really the only way to beat him.
And it's not that, it's that back then the rush was less easy than now, because there was no crease and there was no strong early allies, so the priests had all the time to set up.
Yeah.
Even against other heroes.
Wasn't it introduced in 1.27? Chris came into the field. He's like a staple for human mages.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that was the 1.27. God, I love that version. They introduced a lot. That was a really good version of the game. I think aside from 1.5, that was probably my favorite one.
Yeah, the most balanced one. I think so too.
Mm-hmm.
Ancient history, guys.
Yeah. Small history.
All right, so let's get out of the ancient history mode and bring us into the modern day. 1.5 just hit a couple days ago. No one really was expecting it. we didn't realize it was coming right then. So it's been pretty crazy. But what are your guys' overall impressions? I know we've all been playing the crap out of it. What do you think of the set as a whole, of this version as a whole?
I think it's a very good version, but I was expecting a little bit less mages, and now I'm seeing the top 20, and it's once again completely dominated by mages. So I'm kind of sad by that. I was hoping like a variety in the top 20. But overall, I mean, most heroes are playable, and with about all heroes you have a chance to win versus everything. So I like the version a lot. It's a lot better than 1.29, but I still think some improvements could be made.
Yeah, I agree. I think mages are by far the strongest class in 1.5, but still, it's not that bad. It's not like 1.29 Eladwin or Logan.
That's true.
It was really, really broken. I mean,
it was
almost impossible to win and with any other hero. So there, like, mages are really, really strong, but I think the longer the game will go, we'll see some, more surprising decks dominating for a while. I think, when a lot of players play the game for a long time, then they will find out some new tactics that we didn't think about yet, and we can see some cool stuff.
Yeah, I agree, because right now I'm using an anti-meta deck. I'm using an Ember deck with 4 times a Dimension Ripper in it. And if you bring it back with dual wield, you have a 5 attack Dimension Ripper and stealing the burn of the mages. They're actually very fun games, and it's quite consistent. I'm like 5-0 versus mages right now with the deck. I'm not sure how it runs versus other heroes though, but versus mages it runs like a charm.
Yeah, I agree with that.
First of all, I love the new version. I'm not surprised that there are tons of mages all over the place, from what we saw on the test server. But I wouldn't say that mages are by far the strongest heroes. I think that they are just the easiest. They're the most like the old versions. Like, if you understood how to play mages well in every version before now, then you can build a deck that's basically like that with some new cards added in, and you have a high-level playable deck that's easy for you to understand. And I think that the other heroes, there's been way more changes made to them, so I think that not everybody has quite figured out how they work. But I think that once, a month from now, I think that the top 20 will be very balanced between all the different kinds of heroes that are out there.
Yeah, I agree to that, and I agree about what you said about mages. I agree that they are very strong. They are probably the strongest class comparing to others. But the point is that you don't really need to learn exactly how to build a mage deck. If you have a little experience in Shadow Era, all you have to do is just put the cards inside, and of course the difference between great players is the little difference. But in any case, you just don't have to set up like most of the other classes. If you are a rogue, you got to find your IGG, or if you are a warrior, you got to find your weapon or your draw cards. But with mages, it's much more easy than that, because you have all the burn and you cannot easily lose all the board control until you find and have set up. So it's kind of different, with other eventually there will be classes who will find a way to deal with mages, and we will see more heroes in the top 20.
Yeah, when I say like the strongest one, I mean that they in the current meta, if you want to get to the, let's say, top 20 ranked game, then you have much better chances with mages, because they are good against pretty much anyone.
Yeah.
And yes. Maybe in tournaments we will see some other heroes, dominant, because you can build anti-mage deck and then you can win a lot. But if you build an only anti-mage deck and you try to get like top 20 ranked, it's really hard, because if you meet other heroes, it will be harder for you to win.
My question is, these new decks that NinjaDucky was talking about, I'm wondering if those will pop up before the top 20 will be stabilized. I'm thinking they won't.
That's actually an interesting point with how the ranking system works. Yeah, I should probably revise my statement. I think that a month from now, the mage players will still all be in the top 20, and they'll all be playing on alt accounts where we can't see the other decks that they're using, but if we watch the tournament scene, the people who are consistently winning tournaments will be evenly mixed, and not all mages, because that's... You're right, there's a whole bunch of people for the next 7 days or something that are going to shoot up to top 20, and then once they all have 400 rating, they're just going to quit playing on their main characters and...
Good luck for someone to reach 400 rating, but okay.
Exactly. We just wait for the next rating reset before we have a chance at it.
I think it's quite possible to build an anti-mage deck, really. Like, if you're in a tournament and you know your opponent is going to play mage, you can build a very solid hunter or a rogue deck with a lot of spell-eater binds and maybe some healing or something else to protect yourself from burn. I think you can do very good versus mages. But the thing is, it's not really consistent versus other heroes then.
Yeah. I actually, I still haven't gotten a chance to play her, but Caitlyn Zero has challenged my mage decks with her Dark Claw because she keeps telling me that she can completely thrash mages consistently and stomp all over them with this deck, and I'm not sure I quite believe that about Dark Claw in version 1.5, but I guess we'll see.
Are you using human mage or shadow mage? Because if you're using a shadow mage, I think you can just add 4 times Shriek of Vengeance and you will be fine.
That's pretty much my plan. But we'll see how it goes.
It's not only that, it's that shadow mages don't have protectors. So you can use all of your ally control cards. While against humans, if Aeon is out, then you're in very, very big trouble if you're a wolf.
That's true.
And they also have a Priest of the Light, so they kind of nullify your ability for one time in a game, or maybe 2. And they heal up a little bit.
I wanted to say something about Priest of the Light, that it's actually a very good card. Very, very, very good if you go first. If you go second, not as much, but if you go first, it's very painful if you can't use your ability to take the board back one turn earlier.
Infuriating.
Yeah.
Infuriating, it's what it is. You wait for your 3 or 4 shadow energy and oh man.
Now, I have actually... See, this is interesting, because Priest of the Light is a very, very strong card. I am not that excited about Priest of the Light in my decks, and maybe I just have a skewed perspective because I have always played mages primarily, but the fact that guy only has 3 health, eats me up inside. I'm like, I play a turn 3 ally, it's like, when people play Priest of the Light against, my Magia deck or my Gravebone deck, I'm like, cool, now I can get your Puin and your Priest of the Light with 1 lightning strike, and I don't even need a brute on the board.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's true. Against mages and maybe Zaladar, it's it can be annoying, but I don't know. It depends how you use your deck. I mean, in most decks, maybe Jasmine or Aldon might be better, but in some certain decks, I think Priest of the Light is very, very useful.
Well, the point with Priest is that, like all the great cards, he has some drawback. If you play first and you play Priest of the Light, you are just so on top of the game because you are going to use your ability first. If you both have the same 4 shadow energy needed, and also you have a 3 attacking ally inside, and you probably can play Chris or Aldon and kill every other ally there later. But if you play second, it's just what Ducky said before. You are in a situation that you have a very big possibility to find your 3-drop dying, which is the worst thing in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. But a 4 health 3-drop, they also die a lot. I mean, how often does your turn 3 drop survive if you go second, even if it has 4 health?
Well, no, I mean that's true, but it takes more effort. Okay, so let's say that I am going first against you, and I'm a human mage, we'll say. Maybe I drop Brigitte, Puin, Aldon. That's my order. And so you drop, I don't know, Chris Puin, Priest of the Light. Okay? So I'll kill your Chris on turn 2 or on turn 3 when I play my Aldon, and then you'll have Puin and Priest of the Light. Now I can lightning strike your 2 guys, like Puin and Priest of the Light, and they're dead. And so now Aldon and Puin both get to attack your hero. Whereas if your Priest of the Light has 4 health, you save yourself 2 or 3 damage because I have to divert one of those allies to attack and finish your 4 health guy.
Yeah, okay, but usually mages just use a fireball then, not a lightning strike.
Well, okay. Is that, like... Are you going to complain that I've just used a fireball on Aldon?
I suppose that's a good point.
Well, it depends. Usually it saves you, as you said, 2 or 3 damage. But the question is if the 2 or 3 damage is worth 1 shadow energy of your enemy. I mean, it's a trade, so it really depends which matchup and which game.
I guess, yeah. There's a lot of nuances involved. I just don't like Priest of Light as an early card, but I think I'm like in the minority on that one.
Oh, well, it's a very solid card, and really the only drawback it has is the fact that it has 3 health instead of 4 health.
Yeah, if it had 4 health, it'd be the best 3-drop in the entire game. There's no question about that.
If it had 4 health, it would be the best card in the whole game, in my opinion. I would very much play 3 Priest of the Light in turn 6 instead of a Neon.
Yeah, I think.
Do you think it would be better than Fire Snake?
Let's leave that for later. I don't know.
Okay.
We're gonna talk about it now. I don't know.
Oh no, we'll hold off on Fire Snake.
It's just too painful to talk about.
Okay, so one of the things that's always been plaguing Shadow Era that I want to talk about with this new version, in the past, we have always had a large block of heroes that are just useless. Like, rogues before 1.5, worthless. Most Wolven before 1.5, except for 1.28, 1.29, Darkclaw got to be the most annoying hero in the world. But before that, mostly worthless.
Well,
Do you think...
Moonstalker did well as well. He was the anti-warrior hero.
He was the anti-warrior hero there. So they've been trying to get this better. Do you think that in 1.5 they finally fixed it so that no matter what class you like to play, you can find a competitive hero?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, if you talk about class, not about specific heroes. If you talk about you want to play, I don't know, a rogue or elemental and you can find a good deck, yeah. I mean, if you want to play hunter, I guess, but it's still hard. I guess Banebow is like, it's not bad.
Yeah, Sisyphus was using Banebow and he got to very high rating with it. I think he's playing right now.
Yeah, I think every class has a good hero right now, and I mean some heroes are not as good as others. If you look at, let's say, about Baduro or I don't know, I haven't seen yet a good Gwen or something like that. But
Ryze was using a good Gwen deck.
Yeah, okay, maybe I haven't seen.
We're waiting for iClipse's 2000th post before we get to find out what the good Gwen is for 1.5.
Actually, I'm at 2,700 right now. So.
Oh, so we missed it. Damn it.
But yeah, I think every class has a chance to compete right now.
Yeah, I agree with the GreatOldOne on this one.
What do you think, Otto? Every class viable now?
Yes, if you say so, yes, every class is viable because every class has a great hero. Even Hunters, which in my opinion are the worst class right now, have Banebow, who's really great if you know how to play him. He's a difficult hero to know how to combine cards.
Yeah,
but I feel that Hunters are a little bit forgotten. The point is that the latest version is the most balanced of all, because if you put Bajuro aside or maybe Terradon, all the rest of the heroes are quite really playable and quite really enjoyable if your goal is not, to win 20 straight games.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good point.
That's true. But you can win tournaments with all of them almost, so that's the point.
Yes, you can do that.
So of all the changes that have been made, I'm hearing a lot about Priest of the Light. Is that the card or the change that you guys are most excited about playing 1.5?
I don't know if to open this discussion again, but
I know where you're going.
yeah, Leyland Nexus. Okay.
Oh right.
Oh God.
Who don't know why we're laughing? Maybe NinjaDucky, you can.
We've had a lot of discussions about Leyline Nexus. That's actually another. That's a whole different topic that I have. So we might just segue into that one. But go ahead. Leyline Nexus is the one you're most excited about.
Yeah, Leyland Nexus and Severe Ties are the two cards I'm most excited about because they provide opportunity for classes to destroy items or abilities they couldn't destroy before, and I think it makes the game much more balanced. So that's my two favorite changes.
I'm sorry, but I have to counter that argument a little bit, and I'm thinking that Leyline Nexus is still a little bit too strong. I'm saying it's a very good card.
Oh yeah.
Okay, well, let's just go to this. I'm just going to switch topics right now because it seems like that's where we're gravitating towards. So with Leyline Nexus coming out, everybody has the ability to destroy high-value items. And that's something that people have complained about missing for a long time. Gwen with Snow Sapphire, that sucked. Mages not being able to destroy King's Pride, they were complaining about that. And now with like these other new items like Spell Eater bands and what was the other one?
Legion United, maybe.
Yeah, there we go. Legion United that like just shut burn down so hard. If mages couldn't destroy them, that would be a problem. So they introduced Leyline Nexus, and now there is a discussion that we've been having as a guild, and I've seen sort of sprinkled throughout the Shadow Era forums. Do you think that because item destruction is so easy to get a hold of, and every deck can run it all the time, that this is devaluing expensive items? And do you think that this is a bad situation for the game?
What I have to say is, the card itself, Leyline Nexus, it's a really, really nice card, but for me it's the draw, the extra draw that makes it a little bit too strong. Because of that draw, it makes some defensive armors, like Spell Eater Binds, completely worthless. Because if you play Spell Eater Binds, your opponent is just going to counter that with Leyline Nexus. And if he didn't get a card out of that, it would be just fine for me. But now he gets an extra card out of it, so you're actually losing card advantage just because you're playing in armor. So it's really, for the defensive armors, really only the defensive armors, because there are offensive armors as well, like King's Pride. But for the defensive armors, I think it's really a terrible card. It makes all defensive armors really played a lot less.
Yeah, but it makes defensive armors played a lot less if you accept the defensive armor if you have lost board control. Because if you have board control and you play Legion United, then it buys you one more turn of whacking the mage. And we all know that if you get one more critical turn of beating the match down, it usually is the crucial one, to get the game.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like the card draw in Leyline Nexus because I think at 5 cost, not only does it cost 5, it only destroys expensive items. So you have this whole card slot. Like, I will continue to maintain that Leyline Nexus is a garbage item destruction card when you compare it to all of the class restricted ones. It doesn't destroy cheap items. So if someone plays Wrath of the Forest and you were counting on Leyline Nexus, you're screwed. So you're dedicating this whole card slot to killing Spell Eater Binds or something, and it costs 5. So unless we're on turn 10 here, I'm spending my whole turn to do nothing but destroy that armor.
Yeah, okay, but
I
use the whole turn to defend myself as well, and then that defense is gone for something so very common. I mean,
I suppose that's...
The point is that you use your turn to put them some defense, because we assume that you had board control. Because if you don't have a board control and you only have a defensive armor, then yes, it's not going to work. But if you do have board control, like warriors who need to set up against mages, and you buy that extra 10, then accept that it's the crucial one. The least your opponent can expect, since he cannot attack you, is to replenish the one card he lost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, but some armor are just armor you only play if you don't have the board. Like, for example, Armor of Ages for Elemental class. That's really a card just to buy yourself time, but now it's completely useless.
Yeah, but the point is, I have one question. If you're playing against an elemental, and you have Leyline Nexus in your first, I don't say in your starting hand, in your first 10 cards, are you going to keep it, or are you going to sack it? Are you going to expect Armor of Ages?
That's a good question. Maybe not, but there are also other possibilities. So usually people keep one item destruction in hand. As long as they can keep it and they don't need all their other cards, they'll keep one in hand. If not, they'll probably sack it, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I'll tell you from... My experience might be a little bit different because I mostly play mages, so sometimes like things like Armor of Ages, like I can just bypass with the burn. But if you're looking to buy your time, till time against my creatures, if you are not a rogue or a hunter, I frequently sacrifice Leyline Nexus if I get it early, just because I'm like, okay, so that'll suck if I can't destroy your Dagger of Unmaking or your Armor of Ages if you're running it, but it probably won't suck as bad as sacrificing this Supernova. So,
I agree with Ducky and Otto. I think it's well, I agree with everyone actually. It does make defensive armors, much worse, I guess. If you look at Armor of Ages or Snow Sapphire, they will be played much less now, and you will have to think twice before actually putting them in a deck. But I think that it's without the draw a card of the Leyline Nexus, it would be such a crappy card that I'm not even sure it's worth putting in a deck unless you are a mage and Spell Eater Binds would just kill you out straight if you don't have it, or something like that.
But for hunters it would be the same. They also didn't have item destruction. And
let's say if you are a human and Leyline Nexus did not have the extra draw, would you not prefer to play poor quality and just completely destroy a 4 durability weapon in one turn? I don't know, only King's Pride and Armor of Ages would survive the use of it.
Yeah, okay, but I never really liked poor quality, but that's another discussion. But well, maybe it might just be fine. But the thing is, it's just that one card changes up a lot of strategies, and I think it's not a very good thing that one card changes so many things. So yeah, that was just my opinion, but I can agree that you guys disagree.
So I think that's about as far as we're gonna get on that one. Although I will say it's interesting to me, since I know that iClipse really likes hunters and Gwen. I find it funny that they are like, here you go, here's like a really great answer to Snow Sapphire, and he's like, dude, that sucks. I don't want that. now people can play Snow Sapphire and I have an answer. That's lame.
Yeah, okay. Good point. But anyway, I wanted to say something. This podcast probably will be posted on the Shadow Era forum, so I'm asking for the people of Shadow Era to post their opinion about the card.
Absolutely.
The comments below.
So, here you go, Shadow Era. iClipse is asking for your support to help tell us that we're wrong. Post to Shadow Era forums if you agree with iClipse about Leyline Nexus.
Here we go. That's our show, guys. Thank you for listening.
That's all we needed. Okay, so a lot of big changes in 1.5. The big change that everyone has always been waiting for, though, that did not come was the nerf to Fire Snake. We've seen polls and threads and people requesting, but Kyle just refuses to nerf this obviously OP card. So in version 1.5, do you guys feel like it's possible to deal with Fire Snake now, or just exactly how overpowered is he remaining?
Well, I think you can deal with it just by hoping your opponent doesn't have it in his opening hand. Then you can deal with it, but otherwise it's probably a lost cause.
I agree. If you can't set up an anti-Fire Snake board early, it's a problem.
Yeah, or you can just play your Fire Snake before the opponent, which is the best.
work.
You make him rage quit.
That's true. I mean, Fire Snake is. You have to play certain cards just to deal with him. I think, let's say, Augie, the new Shadow ally. I think he's almost as good as Fire Snake. And if he costs 1, then still Fire Snake would be a little bit better. But it's hard to deal with.
Yeah, I agree.
Very good point.
I would really my personal hope is that in the next version, in 1.6 or whatever, when they have this expansion, that we'll see a human card named Water Snake that will be able to counter Fire Snake.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see if that actually comes true.
I hope the design team is listening to us right now, so...
Yeah. All right, so now we've all been out there in 1.5 playing the quick matches with our decks and stuff. What kind of decks have you guys been seeing? I mean, I know we've talked a lot about mages. Mages are still very popular. A lot of top 20 players are using mages. Is that basically all you guys are seeing out there, or are you guys seeing other things as well?
I think it depends on your rating. Like, my 5 first games that I played, not even one was versus a mage. It was like 1 versus Elementalist, 1 versus a Warrior, and it was something of everything. And it were really fun matches, but at the very top, it were always mages. So I was using lands, and I won every game, but up until that I started facing mages, and then it was just not working as good anymore, so I switched to Amber right now. It was really good versus mages, by the way.
Yeah, I agree to that. Until I reached 320, all the opponents I've seen, I only saw 1 GB and 1 or 2 Eladwins, and there was warriors all over the place. 2 Boris, 2 or 3 Ambers, Gwen. I lost that Gwen with my Eladwin.
Oh, yeah.
I faced Jericho, who crashed me out of the top 20. And I say, in every forum I curse that Jericho. Anyway, definitely not so many mages, and that's probably because if there is 100 guys in the forum, then there is 10,000 guys who are not in the forums, and they just don't know the evolvement of Shadow Era.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
I haven't played enough, so I only found out that it came out yesterday night, and I only played 4 games, so I'm not sure.
What did you face in those 4 games?
Not mages. It was Gwen. There was Terra Dune. There was I think I don't remember. Maybe Darklaw or something. That not mages at all. So
yeah, I also think for the people that don't play competitively, this update is very good because all your heroes become just a lot better, and in the lower ranks you just see a whole lot of variety. So I think that's a very good thing.
Yeah.
I totally agree. That's pretty much my experience too. When I jumped on 1.5 and started from 0 rating, I saw every single match was a different hero. I saw Misthaven, I saw Boris, I saw Amber, Zaladar, Elementalist, Victor, you name it. So I think that's very good.
Yeah.
So now, what advice would you guys have for if we have players who are trying to tweak up their heroes and trying to, work up their rating in this environment? What tips do you guys have for people?
Well, for me, my advice would be watching a lot of games and playing a lot of games, and also visiting IRC and talk with other people about your deck.
Yeah, you can only learn if you lose, or if you see, or if you hear. There is no person in the world who can learn without losing or hearing or seeing other games. And as iClipse said, just enter the forums and IRC. You can see so much stuff that you are going to lose game before you know for yourself. So it buys you a lot of time.
Yep, I totally
I agree.
Totally agree
Nothing
with
to add.
It's just like, okay, so visit the forums in IRC.
I have to add something to myself. You know,
Okay.
above all this, you know, if you really need to ask something, you know, and you don't find it in IRC or in the forums, just ask A1 Alliance, you know, visit the thread.
Yeah.
Or just you can also send a personal message to someone.
Yep.
That's possible. I mean, after this podcast goes live, then I think iClipse and Otto are gonna have 200 private messages.
Oh crap!
So good luck, guys.
Oh boy.
No. I said ask A1. I didn't say ask Otto.
Well, I nominate Otto as our official representative for new player questions.
I agree. Okay, I support.
All right, Otto. Good luck.
I'm gonna use the duck traps I had, you know, for you two guys also.
I'm working on my anti-duck trap skills.
Okay.
All right, so there are two classic decks that I think are probably the most infamous decks in Shadow Era throughout its history. If you were going to try to play one in today's meta 1.5, which one do you think will be more successful? Zaladar Rolling Pin or Serena Super Draw?
I am ashamed to say I still have no idea what decks are like. What are those decks?
Bill, ooh, I can't believe.
Kyle played once with the Rolling Pin Zaladar deck. I think he invented it even.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah,
I thought Matt.
it was like he played a deck and the numbers didn't even show because the deck was so large. I know it's fixed now, but it was really funny to see.
I thought the first rolling pin was about Boris. No?
Oh.
I never saw the Boris rolling pin. The first rolling pin I ever saw was Matt OG playing Zaladar rolling pin, but I may have missed something.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's possible. Although I'm not sure about that.
I'm positive that there's a Boris rolling pin in the threads, but I just don't remember who invented it.
All right, well, Shadow Era community, we're looking at you. We apparently don't know which rolling pin came first, and this is very important. So, drop us a line in this thread.
I have to add though, Serena Super Draw got some serious buffs with 1.5. Like Gravedigger's Cloak went to 2 Shadow Energy, so it's a huge buff for Serena Super Draw. I think Blanket Effect needs to update his deck and use it again because he'll do very very well with it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Serena Super Draw may have been nerfed because Serena's power changed from drawing a card every time she damages a hero to now she has to use Shadow Energy and she discards a card because they knew that drawing a card was too powerful. When they saw Super Draw.
That's completely true. But I was comparing with 1.28 and 29, not with before that.
Wait,
okay.
She used to draw a card every time she damaged.
Yeah, it was a passive ability.
It was a passive ability every time Serena deals combat damage to a hero, draw a card.
That sounds like really, really good.
Yeah, but at that time there was only one weapon, and it really sucky. It was like it was throwing knives, and it was it was a sucky weapon for.
Oh, okay.
That was actually one of the really fun things about playing rogues back in 1.27 was that they had these weapon-based abilities and one weapon, and you were like, okay.
I mean, you didn't have any weapons in the game?
No. They didn't. They like all of those fancy rogue weapons like Ankle Breaker and the Dagger and all of that stuff came out in 1.29. So before that, playing a rogue, especially Serena, was just like, oh, okay, so I do stuff with my throwing knives. That's pretty awesome. She couldn't even. I don't know. That was bad.
Yeah,
good to know.
It's been rogues have gotten serious buffs.
Lance is awesome. No, I love playing Lance. He's really so much fun.
He's very fun hero, and he can beat almost every other hero, but he has some difficulties with mages though.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of sad that they changed the mugged card, because if you add like 3 times mugged in your deck, that's 9 health more that the opponent has to burn through.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of sad for that change. But yeah,
I don't use the new mugged at all.
No, not me.
Yeah,
Someone uses it.
It eventually seems that the change was not needed. You know, I included it in my first decks. You know, instead of some assassinations, I just put 1 or 2 mugged for the card draw. But then I saw that Ill-Gotten Gains was so strong, and I could have card draws by other side effects. So I dropped mugged when I put Ankle Break inside. And yes, I would prefer the old mugged as well.
Now, if it were the old mugged, would you still keep it instead of Ankle Breaker?
No, but I would. No.
I would use them both.
No, the point is I put mugged out when I put Ankle Breaker in. So it would be out anyway. But if it was the old mugged, then I would definitely find 1 or 2 spots in there for me. Definitely.
Yeah. Especially if you know that mages are your weak points, it's very good to have an anti-mage card in
it helps a lot. I have a question about ill-gotten gains.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure. It's a good draw engine if you have board control, in my opinion. And if you don't mind, I would like to discuss like when exactly should you play it. I mean, should you always play turn 4 if you can, or just wait until you don't have any more other cards to play? So
I think it also depends a bit on which hero you're using. So if you're using,
let's say you use Lance. Let's say we use Lance.
If I'm using Lance, I'm always played on turn 4 if I have it, even if I have no board, because the next turn I'll just play like a Raven or a Earthen Protector. Mm-hmm. I'll haste it, I'll protect it with my ability and kill something and get a draw out of it.
Okay, yeah, I agree. You know, the point with rogues is that they need some time to set up. But when they set up, I think that they are the best class out there. When I say rogues, I mean Lance, especially.
Yeah,
I also think it gets no love.
I also think that a huge reason why they're so powerful right now is the new Ankle Breaker.
Yes.
It's like a really, really good card right now.
Yeah, the point is that we didn't see it coming. You know, when we played in the PFG, it was only Dagger of Unmaking everywhere. It took some time for players to see where Ankle Breaker took their game.
Yeah, it's because Dagger of Unmaking just puts the card back, and you don't get any card advantage out of it. But with Ankle Breaker, you can just kill every ally that comes on the field.
You cannot use ill-gotten gains to profit from it, and you let your opponent have a card in his hand instead of depleting it.
Okay, I have another question, if you don't mind. Okay. Let's say you play a Shadow class, okay, whatever, doesn't matter which. You have Strike of Vengeance in your hand. Okay, you play against a Lance that just put turn 4 ill-gotten gains. Mm-hmm. Are you when are you going to use that Strike of Vengeance?
What is on the board? It's very important.
Let's say that you have board control. I mean,
if I have board control, I destroy ill-gotten gains whenever I see it. Whenever it's the first priority.
I mean, you go down to 3 resources and you just put it.
I will destroy ill-gotten gains every time I see it as soon as I can. Sometimes if I'm going second, if Lance has gone first and he's played ill-gotten gains and I have the Shriek in my hand, if I can maintain a good position with only 3 resources, I'll use that 4th resource to destroy ill-gotten gains. If I need all 4 of my resources for something, which would be a very odd number to need, or if let's say I know that, like, next turn there's a turn 5 play that I have to make, like Tidal Wave or Supernova. I guess Tidal Wave I wouldn't be. Okay, anyway. So if I know that there's a play that I have to make on turn 5, I might hold off. But for the most part, it's going to be an instant.
I think it also depends a bit on which hero you're using and, like, the draw engine. So, for example, like Warriors, they have a lot of cheap cards that can turn the board in their advantage. And if they have, like, a turn 3 Blood Frenzy, and then at turn 4, you can play a 3 CC ally and destroy that ill-gotten gains, where your opponent just used this entire turn to play that ill-gotten gains.
Yeah,
I think
okay,
that's a very
so
good position you're in then after destroying.
in a harder situation, let's say same situation, but you don't have board control. What are you going to do?
It depends on what I have. Let's say that so we're saying I've gone second, and I don't have board control, and Lance just played Ill-Gotten Gains.
Yeah, let's say. I mean, I usually wait for turn 6 or so to destroy it because otherwise I don't have enough resources.
Yeah, but the point is, if Lance has board control and he could spare some 4 resources to play, and he still has board control, then he probably has drawn 1 or maybe 2 cards instantly when he played Ill-Gotten Gains, but by his board control. So he probably won the game. There is nothing you can do if you don't have a board wiper. If you are an elemental and you can rely on your health capacity being back on top again by Soul Ripple, then yes, you can expect something from there. But in normal playing, where you have your energy and your opponent has his energy, if Lance has the board control and he has the spare resources to play Ill-Gotten Gains, it's most of the times the end of the game for him.
But like for me as well, often I really want to take damage if that helps me in getting the board back later. Like if I try to play cards and cards and cards to get back the board, but your opponent can just kill those cards and get an advantage out of it because of Ill-Gotten Gains, then I would rather destroy Ill-Gotten Gains and not play anything other than on that turn, but at least I denied the draw of my opponent. Mm-hmm. And I think that's very important if you're playing versus everyone. Actually, like destroying a research or so is also very important, even if it will let you take some damage on your hero.
Yep, because eventually getting that, if you have more cards and if you deny your opponent their draw early enough, and they start top decking, you can come back from almost anything.
Yeah, if people are top decking, they also draw. Most of the time, they don't draw what they exactly need.
Yeah, I think one of the worst feelings I have is when, let's say let's say Lance put Ill-Gotten Gains in the game, and I say, okay, I'm going to take some damage. I'm not going to play a card, but I'm going to destroy it with Strike of Vengeance.
Yeah.
And then the turn after, he put another Ill-Gotten Gains in the game, and then you're like, oh shit, what? Getting dead.
Yeah. But that's just bad luck, really.
That's why I'm asking. I mean
that's the fact that Shriek takes a resource from you just is very sad sometimes, and that's just one of those things that. What are you gonna do?
Well, I think it's a very good card, actually. I wish humans would have an equal card like that. I mean, they have Shrine of Negacia, what a name. But
it's the new misplaced, right?
Yeah, it's the new misplaced, and I don't know. In my opinion, that is really a terrible card.
It's
on what are you going to use it?
There are good situations. I mean,
there are good situations for it. I mean.
Ill-Gotten Gains, Tome of Knowledge, maybe.
Yeah, okay, but
I think more maybe Amber Weapon. I mean, like.
I'd rather destroy it than just place it back in my opponent's hand. What's the point in destroying? What's the point in destroying a Tome of Knowledge and returning a Tome of Knowledge to your opponent's hand? So you actually paid a card to have your opponent pay 2 CC again. So actually, you won 1 CC by returning it to the hand. So versus a Tome of Knowledge is really useless. There are a few examples where it's good, like versus a buffed Jeweler's Dream or so, but I think the situation where it's a useful card is quite rare.
I think you're right. I think it's not as good as Shriek. I wouldn't return a Tome of Knowledge to my opponent's hand with it. But sometimes it depends on your situation, because in some situations you want tempo, where you and your opponent are struggling over board control, and neither person dominates it yet. If you can eat up their tempo, that's more important than card advantage for the next couple of turns. So there are cases where you can, by forcing somebody into certain plays, you can destroy their tempo and take over the board. For example, if you're playing against a Moonstalker or a Victor or Banebow who has Wrath of the Forest on turn 4, and then on turn 5 you play out some allies or whatever, and bounce Wrath of the Forest back to his hand. Then not only do you get to kill his allies without him drawing cards on that turn, his next turn, if he's going to keep up with you in board position, he can't replay it. If he does replay it, then you just own. You just own the board and. Way to go.
That's true. But it's still, I agree. It's much worse than Shriek of Vengeance.
I mean, Shriek of Vengeance is totally better.
Yeah, I would much rather just destroy the card than return it to the hand.
Well, let's say I put Shriek of Vengeance in almost every shadow deck I use, and I never put the what's called Shrine of whatever.
Yeah, Shrine of Nigathia.
Nigathia, yeah. I never put it in any deck that I use. So
yeah, same for me. I only used it if in 1.28 or 29 to counter Dark Cloud deck.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not ever.
But it's not because you wanted to play it. It was because Dark Claw would rape you if you didn't have it.
Yeah, but in 1.5, there's no reason, I think, to put it in any deck. That's what I feel.
I'm starting to feel like maybe there's a new deck idea out there for some intrepid deck builders, like Serena Bounce Back or something, where you don't need to draw the cards, you need to return all the cards to your opponent's hand. You play Retreat and Dagger of Unmaking and Shrine of Negatia and
Yeah. Okay. I have last question.
Okay.
Last question. Okay.
What
do you guys think about Radiant Sunlight? I tried to use it a few times. I think it's a really nice card, but I'm still not sure 100% I would use it in a deck.
I tried to use it. I've tried to use it in a Boris deck because it has a good draw engine, but in the end if I wanted a Shadow Energy removal deck, I just play 4 times Priest of the Light with Radiant Sunlight. Maybe in the late game, but I really think board is more important than just 2 Shadow Energy.
I like the card. I would have liked to see it remove 3 Shadow Energy, so it could be a perfect counter to Shadow Font.
Yeah, but it only costs 2 as well. I mean,
it would be really.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I think for the cost, it's a very, very fair card right now.
Yeah, that's why I liked it, because it only costs 2. So I used it in a deck where I had only 2. I had only 4 2CC drop, allies to put, and then if I didn't get the ally, I would put the Radiant Sunlight.
But the problem is that you can't. If you use it on turn 2, your opponent will only have 1 Shadow Energy.
It depends if you go first
or second.
Yeah, but I mean it was okay. I wasn't sure.
I think that I've used it in a couple of decks, but as a 2-of, because I like getting it later in the game where maybe on turn 6 I can do some stuff and pop 2 Shadow Energy down. That's just really bad. You can really mess up your opponent's strategy. If they're at 3 Shadow Energy and Aladwin is right about to pop her freeze power, if you can take 2 Shadow Energy away from her and then drop Raven or Aeon or something like that, then that sucks.
I think it might be a solid card. I mean, not like a card you put 4 times in every deck, but if you put 2 in a deck or so, that it could be really good cards, just in some circumstances.
I completely agree with that.
Maybe against mages it could be nice. I mean, against Gravebone, Eladwin, Magia, I think it's a nice card.
Any player that some heroes use their hero ability as sort of a bonus, this is something that will help me out every few turns, and there are some heroes that are if I didn't have my shadow ability, this deck wouldn't work. Yeah. And against that second type of hero is where I think Radiant Sunlight really has potential to mess up your opponent's game.
Yeah, okay, that's true.
Yeah, that's true. I want to say, except turn 2, when you play first. Is there
of course.
Is there any other possibility that you would play Radiant Sunlight instead of Dirk, for instance? Because probably everybody plays 4 of pawns, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. In the mid game, would you prefer to play Radiant Sunlight and carry it in the slots instead of Dirk?
In the late game, perhaps.
Maybe.
I think it's one of those things. When you get into mid game, I would view it the same way I view Tome of Knowledge. Like, if I can make the plays that I need to make and have 2 extra resources on like turn 5 or 6, then I totally will throw it out there to mess with my opponent. But that's not always going to be possible. Sometimes I'll have to hang on to it and wait for the late game.
Yeah, but that's the point. The point is consistency. I can also think of 5 or 10 situations where Radiant Sunlight could just save the whole game for you. But is it going to save the game for you more than playing an ally, or than using research once more, or using cripple blow once more? You know, because
I see your point.
Yeah, I think it will depend on the meta. I mean,
yeah. For example, versus mages who will just spam Supernova, I think Radiant Sunlight is better than late game Dirk or Peon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe we'll see someone uses it in a really good way, and it will be fun.
I know that Blanket Effect uses it in his Jericho deck.
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
And you know, it would have some great effects, but it's for priests. You know, they count on getting the game in late turns, and they have all the tainted oracles and the wisdom stuff to draw all the cards they need. So when they reach 10 resources or something like that, and they can play King's Pride and Radiant Sunlight out, they don't have a problem to use it. But for every other hero who depends on early and mid game to win, I'm not sure it would wear the slots.
Even if it's only good for priest, I would say. I mean, it's still good. Whatever. If anyone uses it, it's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on, how do you guys feel about the tournament scene in Shadow Era? A couple months ago, there was hardly anything going on, but now it seems like there's new tournaments springing up at least once or twice a week. Do you guys like the tournament scene? What are your feelings about it?
My feelings are very diverse, because there was a time when there were no tournaments at all. You know, there were very, very few, and if you got a bad draw and got left out of the first one, you really had to wait a really much big time for the second one to participate. Having more tournaments is definitely good for the future of the game, but I think that we reached the crucial point that the tournaments are now too many. You know, because I've made a post in a recent thread where I explain my opinion that if you're a tournament winner, you must be something important. You know, you must wear this badge and be proud of it. But if every 2.5 hours or maybe 1.48 days there's a tournament out there, you know, we would go to the forums and see the half the guys there are saying tournament of Friday 14, 29.5 hour and 6.5 hero classes winner. I wouldn't like that.
Oh my god. Still comment on what for days was funny.
I actually agree with Otto a bit about the fact that there are a bit too many, maybe. I mean, you don't have to participate in every tournament that comes up, but at the start I just participated in everyone, but right now I just lost track of which ones I participate in. I mean, right now I'm signed up for like 5 tournaments or so, but I have no idea which ones they are, and I have no idea when to play versus who.
You just wait for your opponents to PM you, hey, we have a tournament, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, actually, it's a little bit true, yeah. So right now I just completely lost track of what I have to do, or with which heroes I have to play and whatnot. So yeah, I think there are a bit too many right now. I mean, I like the tournament scene. I mean, the fact that there are tournaments is a very good thing for the game, but too much.
I don't know. I disagree with you guys. I'm sorry. Okay. I just well, there was a time where there was only really one tournament per week or so, and I think it's too little. But people got used to it a lot. So, which means that every time there is a new tournament, like everyone wants to register because they were used that there are not a lot of tournaments, and that mentality kind of like it sticks to people. And now when there are a lot of tournaments, people still have the mentality of we have to register to every tournament, and that's why I believe it's why people feel there are maybe too many. I think there can't be too many tournaments unless there are, more tournaments than players or something like that. I mean,
I won my tournament where I was the only one that registered.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there can be too many. I think it's excellent for the game. I praise everyone who decides to make a cool tournament and have prizes for it. I mean, really, lots of people are doing it now. Also, SolarWind and Blue Jet and A1 has some tournaments, and all kinds of random people just show up and doing tournaments. I mean, I love it. I mean, I don't have a lot of time to play. I haven't played for almost a week now, and I think if I have time, I would like to have a tournament available almost whenever I want to just register, and then I know I can play whenever I have the time. I think it's good. I don't see anything bad with having so many tournaments.
We agree in most things, but let me put it this way: wouldn't you like the tournaments that you take place to be tournaments that gain the whole interest of the people, of the community? When I say the word tournament, it comes like the Champions League or something like that. It's something that people focus their interest on. But if there is a tournament so frequently out, then it loses its sign, it loses its price, to what it bears.
That's true, but again, I think it's a part of the old mentality. I think once you get used to have so many tournaments, I mean, yeah, it's less prestige to win one, I guess, but I think it's mostly for fun. And if you have a lot of tournaments, you can have lots of fun. And maybe once in a while, I mean, there should be a formal Shadow Era tournament. I don't know, maybe Gondorian.com should make really, really big tournament every once in a while. And those would be the really prestige tournaments to win.
Yeah, I mean, that's my point. There should be two categories. One that it's going to be not so frequent, but very, very big event. And the other ones that are for fun, and we all want it, and it's good to have ideas and people who participate and offer their time and effort for all of this.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, naturally, they will have. The more tournaments you have, the less prestige it is to win one. So that's fine. I mean, I don't mind.
Yeah, and I guess too. Actually, I recently have posted some comments on the forums also to the effect that iClipse and Otto were talking about. But hearing these points, I guess there is something to be said too for if there are more frequent tournaments, you can still get prestige from consistently winning them. Which in some ways might be more prestigious than winning one big one, because people can't say, oh, well, you know what, he just got a lucky draw, or he played this certain hero and happened to get all of his good matchups, because if you're like, yeah, well, I've won 8 tournaments in the past 4 weeks, then no one can say, oh, well, you didn't really deserve that. So I guess there's pluses and minuses.
Yeah, but then it goes all about, because we are all good players. Some are maybe a little better, some maybe a little worse. But, most of the guys that participate in the tournaments, because it's usually most the same, okay? It's 40, 50 guys that participate in all tournaments. Then it's all about who participates in more. Because if you are a good player and others are good players also, and you participate in 10 tournaments and the other player participates in 2, it's only fair that you will end up with more wins than him, even if you are a slight worse than the other player.
Well, but people for example, Rafael Majer, he always ends up with the top players. I know he participates in every tournament, but every time he does participate, he's always in the quarterfinals, the semifinals, or the finals. Mm-hmm. And not a lot of people can say that, even for the people that participate a lot.
Yes, of course, that's the other way to express it. If you always go well, it means that you are a good player. But having more wins than another player doesn't mean that you are a good player.
No, it doesn't mean that. Yeah. But who cares? Just play for fun, and if you win, that's awesome. And if not, I mean, we're not actually fighting to see who's the greatest player of all time. So just take it, easily. It's fun. So.
I also hope, by the way, that this year they'll organize last year they did again a world tournament. I know it was like I think it was in June or something or July. It was a world tournament, and I remember Binamp won that, and he actually got an iPad from Wolven Studios.
Yes, that was a really big deal. I remember that.
What? No, I'm lost now. Do you mean the Street Fighter World Tournament?
No, this was a long time ago when 1.26 was still on the test server and 1.25 was live. Wolven Studios did a tournament on the test server because that was the only way they could create custom games because that feature hadn't been implemented yet. But they did a really big tournament where it was broken down by world region, and you did live tournaments that way. And then when you had you took like the top 2 from each of 4 regions, and then those guys came together to fight for like a world champion title.
Well, I would be happy if every new version that comes out, there will be one very, very big tournament that Wolven maybe organize, and we'll have like cool prizes. That would be awesome.
I agree with that. So we have a lot of new players breaking into the forums and such. What do you guys have any advice for them trying to get into the tournament scene? What are good tournaments to participate in? What sort of decks should they be playing? Just general advice for them.
Yeah, I have lots of advice. You should, first of all, you should play a lot on just play a lot generally, not in tournaments. And then the more you play, the more you'll get better. I mean, that's pretty much what we said before when speaking about how to get better. Just ask questions in IRC and forums, whatever, take opportunity of whatever, good players you can play against and ask them questions as well. That's really good. And about tournaments themselves, since we have so many right now, I would say just, participate whenever you have the time. And the more experience you have in tournaments, I think it will be easier for you to learn and win. And the most important thing, in my opinion, is to take losses as a learning experience. And whenever you lose, you just don't ever, be sad or just get annoyed because something you think is not balanced or whatever. You just say to yourself, okay, I lost. That's okay. Now what can I learn from my loss, and how can I get better because of my loss? And that's what everyone should do, and that's the best way to get better and to start winning.
Plus one.
Those were good points. Tournaments don't cost anything to participate in, so it's really easy to participate in them. Yeah. So that's a good thing for new players.
Yep. All right, guys, we have been going for an hour, or over an hour, wow. So I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this up, but this was a good discussion. For everybody out there listening, hope you've enjoyed the first episode of State of the Era. Please let us know what you think about it. Be sure to weigh in on the hot Leyline Nexus debate over at the Shadow Era forum. And give us feedback and things you'd like to hear us talk about. We'd like to do this every couple of weeks if you guys are interested in hearing us ramble on about Shadow Era. So let us know what you think. Until next time, this is the A1 Alliance signing out.